that everything you've been running from, your failures, your fallacies, and your flaws, the thing that you're constantly on edge about, is actually on the edge of its seat, wondering to itself, is this the day? Is this the day? Is this the day that you finally realize that, yes, you may have made some mistakes, but no, you are not a mistake? Is this the day? The day that you embrace this reality that, yes, you may have failed at a few things, but you are not a failure? Is this the day? The day that you decipher the difference, that yes, you may have disappointed others, but your life is not a disappointment? Is this the day? The day that you embrace this truth that people have no right to judge you, because we're all broken. And so we see others through the broken lens of our own pain, our own past, our own experiences. For years you've been running, existing, hiding, suffering in silence from your shame and punishing yourself because of your past. Being in their presence, but never fully present, because you're always haunted by the, what if they know? What if they know? What if they really know what I've done, where I've been, what I've said yes to, or what I didn't say no to? What would they think of me? Today I want to talk to that person who's been battling addiction. And you're in this web of warfare because what you don't want to do, you do, and what you do want to do, you don't. And at times you use the needle to silence the noise. And even though you get this temporary high, you feel like your life is at an all-time low. I want to let you know today that you can still walk in freedom. Or maybe I'm talking to that woman who never really embraced her true identity. So she spent her entire life seeking validation. And so she ends up giving her body to just anybody that made her feel like somebody. And now she feels disqualified from accepting the love that her soul really craves. I want to let you know this today. And you may not hear this from any other man that wants nothing from you, but everything for you. But I love you. Or maybe I'm talking to that grown man who's really just a little boy in a grown man's body, who walked away and stayed away from his child for so long that he's allowed the torment of his absence to be more tolerable than the pain, humility, and reconciliation of his presence. Not realizing that if there's anything in this world worth fighting for, it's to make the rest of his child's life the best of his child's life. I want to encourage you today to fight and keep on fighting, because I salute you. Or maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, well, Javon, I don't have those failures, those fallacies, or those flaws. But you're not off the hook yet. So before you become a great judge of another person's problem and become a great lawyer of your own, let me talk about some of the little things that we don't see as such a big deal. Like how we compare the brokenness in our lives to the stage performance of somebody else's Instagram post. Or how we really feel in our hearts if our child was to bring home a spouse of a different race. Or how we help the needy. And our only motive is not just to meet their need, but to increase our own visibility. And so we use the less fortunate as an opportunity to gain more fortune. Now, I don't want you to get lost in the guilt and miss the mission of this message, which is to show us that we all have imperfections. But transformation is never impossible. So let this be the day. Let this be the day that you finally realize that yes, you may have made some mistakes, and those mistakes may have created a mess. But a mess is what sets the stage for a miracle. Let this be the day that you embrace this reality that yes, you may have failed at a few things, and the failure may feel like rejection. But sometimes rejection is really just redirection to take your life into a new direction. So let this be the day that you realize that yes, they may have disappointed you, but the greatest disappointment is to allow those who have disappointed you to cause you to disappoint the people who need you.
Walk me through that mindset, like how you built yourself back up?
Well, I mean, fitness was something that I got into at a young age, and always carried me through whatever job I had. I did construction, it was manual labor. When I ended up in the infantry, I fit in perfectly into that world because it's very physical. And when I was injured and went through that depression and was struggling, I knew that I was always happier when I was healthier. So that was one of the things that got me into changing my eating habits, getting back in the gym, which wasn't easy at all. I mean, I tell people all the time, what that actually showed me was a side of fitness that I was not used to. Being that person who walked to the gym that was insecure, didn't want people to see me struggling, but I had to get over that. People all the time, we meet them all the time, people that want to get in shape, but they're worried about joining the gym, what they're going to do. And I got to experience that. But then as I started exercising and feeling better, then I didn't care what time of day. Then I started using that to my advantage, where I tell people, I had to convince myself I was doing what others can't. Not in an arrogant way, just to myself. Because there, no matter what gym you go to, there's always somebody bigger, stronger, faster. But I could stand there and have a guy next to me that is bigger than me and think, well, could he do it in this arm or leg? I mean, deep down, I hope he could. Right. But you have to give yourself that mentality that you're doing what other people can. When I meet someone who battles with obesity, I say, well, then you have struggles ahead of you, so you will earn that and appreciate it more. And so I think that mindset of doing what other people can't is what really drives me to want to do the best. I am very close to my kids. I have 3 kids. They're 7, 9, and 12, and they are my motivation. When I was going into the gym in the beginning, I tell people all the time, you have to have something stronger than your fear. And mine were my children. The day that I walked out in the living room and my 3 kids were sitting there, and I knew that I was showing my 2 boys what a man is, and that's what they're going to grow up to be, and I was showing my little girl how a man's supposed to be, and that's what she's going to look for one day, I knew I had to make a change. And I admit to people, I talk about it in my book, I'm very open and honest, it did not happen overnight. Just because I had that realization that I had to be better, it didn't just happen. I would make a mistake, fall flat on my face, but it was the thought of them that got me up and going. And it was the thought of them that pushed me through those beginning workouts, getting back into shape, doing whatever it was, and pushing myself to be better. I tell people all the time, you have to have something stronger than your fears. And for me, it is my kids. And I use that in whether it's fitness, running a race, business, whatever it is, we all get scared. That's what makes things exciting. But you have to have something stronger than that to say, you know what? I may be afraid to do this, but there's something more important that I have to do this with. There's something in all of our lives that is important to us, whatever that is. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone saying, you know what, I want to have a big house and a sports car, whatever it is. You've got to want it bad. I am big on with my kids and other kids, and I've always told people they probably have nieces or nephews or someone near them that looks up to them. And that's what you have to go off of. There is someone watching you. It may not be a child. There is someone watching you that you were motivated. Like, I love the fact that I ended up, in the spotlight, and now my story reached more and more people. But if you just motivate one person, that is a world of difference for them. And that's what people have to keep that mindset of, is like, when you do things, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for someone else. I think sometimes it's good to have something that, I'm a pretty positive guy, but I like to have something that drives me to want to outdo, and I've had organizations that I felt like weren't right with veterans, so that drove me to do certain things, or to fight for things when it comes to veterans, or not just for veterans issues, but for veterans to change the way they are. And I feel like me, and there's a lot of other veterans that are in the spotlight, that it's up to us. If we're going to make a change, we have to start doing that. Be proud of what you've done and where you've come from, but that was only a chapter in your life. Now it's time to conquer something else. I'm several chapters past mine. That's how I got over my depression, was to say, okay, what's next? When I got back into fitness, that's all I did. I worked out, ran races. I felt like fitness was the answer. Setting goals, and achieving little goals at a time, building to get to your next one.